is showtime. Showtime, people. We are back with another Dark Side of the Ring review.
Yeah, man.
And it's going to be a good one here. This one's a trip, man. I'm telling you. This time around, we're going to be talking about Buff Bagwell's Dark Side of the Ring episode, and which is called Buff and the Bagwells. And wow, what a trippy episode. And he went through so much in his life, which is pretty crazy. We're going to be talking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But before we do, let me mention that Buff Bagwell was born in January of 1970. Let's see. He's a professional wrestler, better known Marcus Alexander Bagwell, better known as in the ring Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
And he, you know something? I was looking at his filmography. I had no idea about this. He was in fucking No Holds Barred.
Really?
It's what it says here in his Wikipedia. No, it says he was uncredited. I'm thinking, well, who the hell did he play?
Yeah, I could go back and watch that to find out who
I had no idea. He must have been like an extra or something.
Yeah, you figure back in the hell, he had to have been like.
Yeah, well, if he was born in what?
At that point.
Yeah, he was in his late teens at that point.
Yeah.
So he, maybe he was like the friend of that Hulk Hogan's brother or something. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm gonna look into that for sure. It just says he was uncredited. Maybe he's an extra. But also he was in like, it looks like a couple low budget films, but he was also in like the TV show Charmed back in 2001.
Oh yeah, they had an episode years ago where they put like the Charmed ones had to fight.
Yeah, it says wrestling with demons.
Yeah, they fought Buff Bagwell. They had to fight Booker T and Scott Steiner.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
Well, I did because I remember watching that show back in the day. I watched up until they killed off Shannon Doherty, and then I was just like, man, fuck this show.
Yeah. So, Buff Bagwell's been through a lot in life. His dad, he was rich, so he grew up in a rich family.
Yeah, and of course, he grew up and was spoiled ass rotten. Like, I seen the part where he gave him, my dad was at like 14, 15 years old, bought him a brand new damn Corvette.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Like, who would do that,
His dad wanted to have him and his family nice stuff, and they sure did get it.
Yeah. And remember what was it, the one scene where his dad comes in and is like, asks him, like, what are you guys doing tonight? Oh, we're going to go off and do this. Like, all right. And he reached into his pocket and started giving him, like, bags of cocaine.
Yeah. So, his dad lived the wild life.
Yeah. I liked how his dad explained it. He's like, I'd rather give them, shit I get than rather them go out and get some, some junk or whatever, from somebody, like some street corner person,
Right. Not only that, like one night his dad, I guess, lost a poker game and takes a machine gun and starts shooting up geese. He got all pissed off. And Buff was like, he thought somebody was like robbing the house or something, shooting the place up.
Yeah, he said he went out and he got his gun and he ran down there, or was that the one where he said his mom and his dad were like arguing?
No, that was both parts. He actually got a gun to go down to see what was going on, and he said he saw his dad shooting up all these geese, and because he's mad because he lost in a poker game or whatever, a card game. And there was two incidents in that Dark Side of the Ring that really shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah, that one, that part, and like you said, the part where he winds up shooting.
Yeah. Him and his dad and his mom got into like a fight, and they've been fighting for a while. They were saying because they were, obviously they were rich at one point, but they were just losing money, and they got, they were going broke. And so they got in a bad argument over that. And Buff said that his mom was calling for him, so Buff grabbed his gun, came down, and his dad was like, "What are you doing with that gun?
You gonna shoot me?"
You know, and then his dad ended up getting his own gun.
He wanted grabbing a gun off the top of the refrigerator and
right.
Like, well, let's go.
And they ended up having I guess his dad kept pushing the issue, and at some point Buff started shooting him.
Yeah, and what was crazy, what Buff said in that segment, that he was like saying like, my intention at that point was to kill my dad.
Yeah, and he almost did.
Oh.
His dad was in the episode of Dark Side of the Ring that explains all that. You know, he got shot like in the bottom of his hand.
Yeah, because he was fortunate that, you know, he would have got shot in the chest, he said.
But he lifted his hand up in the right at the right time.
Yeah.
You know. And he said he heard bullets going right by him, so he almost got taken out. And it's pretty sad when life, you know, is like that, when you get in an altercation with your own family member and you're shooting each other. It's like, what the fuck?
You're being shot at by your own son.
Right.
Like,
and then later on, you know, his dad, you know, they didn't talk for months after that, and his dad ended up calling and told Buff that, you know, he was totally right because he was arguing with his mom.
Right. You had the right to defend your mom.
And the dad kept pushing the issue, you know, till. So now they're like great, you know, friends again. Yeah. You know, but it's just I had no idea about that with Buff's background story. I was like shocked.
I'll tell you what, the one part of that story that tripped me out the most, where they're talking to that one referee guy, Mark Slick Johnson, and he said he was a long-time friend of Buff's, and he said he one time walked in the house and went into a room and saw his mom with Buff, and Buff was naked and she was shaving his balls.
Yeah, and he had seen that and left.
I mean, dude, what would you do or say if you walked in on something like that?
You know, I don't know. It probably wouldn't be nothing to me, but you know, some people I can understand. You'd be like, oh, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah, you'd be like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
Right. But you know, that was a little odd, but.
They said that's him and his mom just had a weird relationship.
Right. And it also, I'm on the Wikipedia, and it says in his early career he trained under Steve Lawler, and he debuted in 1990 working for North Georgia Wrestling. He also had a lot of tag team partners over the years.
Yeah.
And
I remember, you know what's funny about Dark Side of the Ring? I learned, I didn't never know, that growing up, you know, I used to watch Global Wrestling Federation back in the early 90s.
Yep, he wrestled in there in the early 90s as well.
Yeah, he was a wrestler there called the Handsome Stranger.
Yep, that's what it's saying.
He wore like a Zorro mask type deal.
And it says that was suggested by Demolition Axe.
Yeah. And he was like a big, you know, when I remember watching it, he was a big baby face wrestler at
and he was thinner at that time, and he had muscles, but if you notice, like in the early 90s, he wasn't ripped or nothing or muscled up too big. He had minor muscles, but a few years later, he was like built big, cut and everything.
The same thing goes with Triple H.
Yeah.
Look at Triple H back in the mid 90s.
That's true. As Hunter Hearst Helmsley,
as Hunter Hearst Helmsley,
he didn't really have much. It was average. Right.
And then a couple of years later, he just fucking just got ripped.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that shocked me in the Dark Side of the Ring about Buff Bagwell, is where he put in those fake implants in his calves.
Yeah, because
he almost died.
Yeah, he was working out so much that he wanted to be like the all around perfect
right,
male.
and he couldn't get the calves going.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I'm gonna get implants.
Yeah,
And
and it rejected.
Yeah, they reject his body.
He rejected it, and I think they had to take him out, like, because they was gonna kill his ass.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, they were taking him out, and he was actually just saying, like, is there any way we could go about this any other way, like,
right.
I could keep him? And,
yeah, with no legs.
Yeah, and
it's like
he actually showed that he still had those calf implants, like, sitting somewhere, and he's just like, yeah, these are them right here.
Yeah,
why would you keep those?
I for one would never have surgery like that.
No,
I would just keep working out until the motherfuckers grew,
Yeah.
even if it took a couple years. But no way am I having surgery done.
And you know what's funny about Buff Bagwell too that I didn't know about is that Missy Hyatt was the one to discover him.
Yeah, she discovered him.
Yeah, and remember she was the reason like he got into WCW and.
Yeah, it says in '91, Buff Bagwell, he was hired by WCW, where he wrestled under his full name.
Yeah, I remember one of his early matches that I seen.
Mm-hmm.
They had he took on Vader.
Yeah, he probably hated that.
Yeah, because Vader, you did not want to draw Vader back in those days. Like, he was brutal towards his opponents. And,
because Vader came from the Japanese wrestling.
Yeah. And when you watch that match, dude, he fucking destroyed Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
Yeah. I bet.
He was
at that time, wasn't he kind of like a jobber, I would assume?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't really a jobber. Like,
was he mid card?
He was like, he was like a rookie starting off, but he was like, he was winning matches. Like, he wasn't like, not a, he was just like a rookie standout.
Gotcha. And
and then he eventually worked his way up to like, mid-carding and started doing tag teams, like, started having that tag team with Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I remember that tag team because it was cool, them coming out to Too Cold Scorpio's music, and they both did that flip into the ring and right into a dance move. It's like, hell yeah, this is a cool fucking tag team,
Yeah, Too Cold Scorpio is pretty good in the ring.
Oh, yeah. One thing, it's funny they didn't talk about in Dark Side of the Ring that was kind of funny. Marcus Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio won the WCW World Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
But, dude, they were only tag team champions for one day.
Damn. What happened?
Yeah, they won the titles on, like, a WCW Saturday night. And then, like, the next night, there was a pay-per-view, and they turned around and lost the titles right back.
Yeah. Damn.
And I was just like, what the fuck, why? Well, like, what is the point of that? Like, what is the point of letting somebody win a championship and just hold it for one fucking day?
I don't know. And do you remember they were talking about his mom worked with the WCW with
Oh yeah,
Buff.
I remember his mom coming in and like, especially like later on, way later in his career, like when he was part of the NWO, like she was coming out doing angles and stuff.
Right, which is cool. And then when WCW went down, here's another interesting part, is where he was going to go into the WWF or E at the time. I'm not sure. Changed
their buyout, like they were going to bring him over with all the other WCW wrestlers.
He had a match with Booker T that wasn't so great, but what I didn't know is like earlier that day or the day before,
he got in an altercation with one of the wrestlers, and they hit him in the head with a fucking.
He hit him in the head with a frozen fucking water bottle.
Yeah, and it busted.
It busted his fucking head. Open. Yeah, and he wrestled that day.
With he said he wrestled that match with 25 staples in his head, and he had to use a marker, like a black marker, to kind of make it to where on camera, you couldn't even tell that he had staples in his head.
So I can understand as to why that match, wasn't great. Like most people wouldn't even wrestle. Not on the same day,
But yeah, talking about that though, dude, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
No, I know that. I'm just saying we're gonna bounce around with this, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was gonna say because after that deal with Too Cold Scorpio, he later went on and there was some bullshit though.
Well, he had another partner who actually was about ready to take himself out.
Well, yeah. Well, before he wrestled with him, he tagged up with that wrestler, the Patriot, and became a tag team called Stars and Stripes.
Right. So he had quite a few tag team partners over the years.
Well, it was cool. Not just he had tag partners, but he was winning like championships with all his tag team partners. Like,
now, wasn't that the one that he churned on when he joined the NWO?
Yeah, Scotty Riggs.
Okay, yeah, he was the one that was in Dark Side of the Ring. That he even said, "I was ready to take myself out."
I would contact them to do this.
Because he said his mom had passed away and he was living in his car for a certain amount of time, and he said he was happy and ready to go. But Buff called him up and said, "No, man, don't do any of that shit.
Yeah,
you come with me." So he saved his life, which is good. And then DDP, I actually helped Buff Bagwell out too. Yeah. Because Buff's been, he's been in a lot of car crashes. He taking pills and shit.
Yeah.
And he's fortunate he's not actually killed anybody.
Yeah.
Or himself. As a matter of fact, they talked about one of his car crashes, the metal plates he has in his neck because he got his neck broken.
Saved his life.
Saved his life. And that's another thing we didn't talk about is one of the Steiner brothers, brought him down into the mat and he slipped out of the move. And you could see it. They showed it. His head bent backwards and it messed him up, man. He was out for a while.
Yeah. But remember him and Scotty Riggs as the American Males, that tag team. I loved it on the Dark Side of the Ring when they were playing their song American Males.
Yeah. I don't know.
I loved how Eric Bischoff freezes like, it's like, great. Now I'm never going to get that song out of my head.
Yeah,
again.
He says it's going to take me a day for that to get out of my head. That is funny.
That was, you could tell that was typical mid-90s shit.
Yeah.
Like, you have what do you call it? The pretty boy tag team, and
right.
They're come out fucking doing that, like the clap with their hands over their heads, like.
Where I noticed where Buff started to shine was when he got into the NWO.
Yeah, when he turned on Scotty Riggs and became, a member of the NWO, and I remember the first time he came out.
Yeah.
It was during Scotty Riggs' match, and they show him stand there, and he's got like sunglasses on, he's got like a jacket on, but you see like his body, and he's just like ripped, and he's just like, and he's just telling the camera he's like, you can't win. You're fat. I'm buff. And he's like telling me, like, go ahead, I'm buff. Look at it. Don't take your time. Don't go away.
And it says here, he was also trained by Mike Graham and Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is cool. And I noticed that. I noticed a lot, like in the late '90s when Buff was next to Scott Steiner. Steiner was ripped to the core, dude. But Buff, his muscle tone, like we had talked about earlier, it seemed more cool, like, you know what I mean? Because Scott's buff was way too much.
Scott had a badass buff.
Right.
Like, to me, his buff was just, like, too much. Like,
right, it was like bodybuilder level.
Yeah. To me, Buff had just that more, like, tone, like, hell yeah. Like,
he had a more rounded tone, while Scott's was more, like, ripped.
Scott just had those massive fucking arms, and, like, you know, where Buff, like all well-rounded, was just like, I'm Buff, I'm the stuff, and the girls can't get enough.
Right. And unfortunately, his mom passed away.
Yeah.
And
You want to know what's funny? His mom is actually credited as being a former WCW Tag Team Champion.
oh, right on. And also, Buff has had 3 wives.
Yeah.
And they also they were a lot of, I don't know if all of them, I know 2 of them were in the dark side of the ring, and they seemed like really nice women.
Yeah, the one girl that it was his first wife, that he said that they went to high school and
Yeah,
stuff.
he cheated on her.
Yeah,
That's what broke up their marriage. And what sucks is because she was really fighting for him, because they made a deal where if she worked and paid the bills, he can go through wrestling training, and once he made it, they would never have to work again.
Once he starts making money, she would never have to work again.
Right. And he ended up cheating on her, and that ended that. And she even said once he became in the NWO, she knew it was completely over. Like, she was hoping at some point to get back with him, but
yeah, but when he became a big star,
right,
like,
he engulfed that character
as Buff. Dude, his Buff Bagwell character truly, like, when he wrestled as Marcus Bagwell,
right.
Like I said, he was a mid-carder, good guy, whatever. But when he became Buff, like, that's when he stood out. That's
right.
when you're like, he
engulfed the character.
Yeah, his character was hilarious. Like he was like just a goofball. Like, like, remember when after he hurt his neck, where he couldn't wrestle, but they still kept him on like TV as just being like a mouthpiece for like Scott Steiner, and him and Scott. I was surprised that him and Scott Steiner never like became a tag team and been tag champions, because like they were together for like a long time in their NWO thing until.
Right. I knew at one point Steiner had kicked him out, right?
Yeah,
out of the NWO.
Yeah, because they had a pay-per-view, and where basically Buff accidentally caused Scott to lose his championship, and he came out the next night on Nitro and was super pissed at Buff because he cost him all that, and Buff was like, "Hey, look, I'm sorry that the chicks dig me more than they dig you, Scotty, but I'm Buff, I'm this stuff." He's like, I told you before, you might give a damn about these fans. I don't give a damn about these fans.
Yeah.
And then they wound up, like, at first you believed that Scott was gonna like forgive and forget and totally be cool with Buff, but then sure enough, out of nowhere, fucking Scott blindsided him, beat the shit out of him, and told him you're kicked out of the NWO.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was better because when Buff left the NWO, he got to like start really shining on his own.
Right, until WCW folded.
Yeah, like, I mean, when he was becoming one of like WCW's like top good guys, and then when even before WCW closed down, like they brought in when they brought in Vince Russo and that, and it's like they took Buff and stuck him in another fucking tag team deal with Shane Douglas.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, put another tag title on Buff Bagwell, but that's the thing that kind of pissed me off, like, throughout his whole career in WCW. He never won a singles title.
Yeah.
Like, every title he won in WCW was a fucking tag team title.
Right.
Like, he never was television champion, never United States champion. Like, wow, just nothing but a tag team championship.
Well, I mean, shit happens. Well, what was his last match?
And what, like WCW or
just last match period.
Oh, that I don't.
Okay. It says he worked in the independent circuit from 2001 until 2022. So, you know what though? He hasn't aged. He's aged pretty bad. You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think the lifestyle that you live,
right? Plus all the pills he was taking and
I mean, you got to think not just the pills, not just the liquor, but that schedule, that grueling schedule, and plus, I'm sure he had to keep, totally fit to keep his body up.
Oh yeah, at that time, he doesn't have a muscle tone like that no more.
No, yeah,
but I'm saying, like, in the late '90s, it was pretty awesome. Back then, and
they started showing him all fucked up on pills, like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a scene. You seen that where a security camera showed him, like, stumbling into a fucking chair.
Yeah, he stumbles into a chair, sits on it, and then fucking falls over.
Right.
And well, it's like, that's sad to see.
Taking all these pain pills and shit.
Yeah. How about the part where they were showing his leg that was all like had wounds on it, and he said the wounds on his leg weren't healing.
Damn. Yeah, that's why you don't want to get surgery, man.
Yeah, I mean.
And then he became a gigolo too. Which is kind of funny. And he was even in the show in 2014 called Gigolos. And he needed the money. He needed to pay bills and shit. So he went and done all that.
I tell you what, though, man, he should be thankful that fucking Diamond Dallas Page stepped up to.
Yeah, he should be thankful he didn't pass out in the car and actually taking people out.
Yeah.
Because he would have been in jail forever.
Yeah. And I think that's what fucking hit Diamond Dallas Page. Like, he's just like, man, this guy's going through a downward spiral.
Yeah. And Diamond Dallas Page is great at helping wrestlers get back their life.
The Snake Roberts, what he did for Scott Hall.
Right. Well, a lot of wrestlers.
Not just wrestlers, but there was actual
normal people that changed their life, lost weight, got in shape, fucking got out there and
they showed this transformation of one guy, dude.
Yeah.
And
he was the one you talking about, the one on crutches?
No, the one that was like, they said he lost like close to like 300 pounds.
Right.
Like,
that's awesome. See, that DDP is one of the coolest people ever, for doing that, because he doesn't have to do any of that,
He doesn't, but you know what?
He chooses,
Yeah.
And
he found a system that you can really get your body, like you can mend your body and help you, get cut back up again,
Right. Also says here that he was in NXT. Or no, NWA, my bad.
Oh yeah, he made an appearance there when they were having Sting pick a partner. They brought out like Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell, who, were trying to see if they were going to be the partner for Sting. And
yeah, it says he made an appearance with NWA Total Nonstop Action.
Yeah.
Buff Bagwell returned to TNA. Oh, he was in TNA. And I guess, that's crazy. But all in all, what do you think of the episode? I thought it was pretty trippy, man.
It was weird. It's just like a lot of stuff you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't even, like, being a fan of Global Wrestling Federation back in the day, I had no idea that was fucking Marcus Bagwell.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. But I think, unless if you have any more to say about him, we'll wrap this one up.
Not really. I just say that, he was a great talent. It was sad to see him go downhill like that, but I mean,
that happens with a lot of wrestlers, though.
Yeah,
it's a grueling lifestyle.
The drugs, liquor,
the painkillers,
all that shit,
the muscle relaxers, the drinking.
Yeah, and then plus, like you said, the hectic road schedule.
Right, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's like a circle of hell almost. You know, and only some people can actually do it and be all right with it. You know, it's got to be in your blood, man, in order for you to
like guys like Ric Flair, you know,
Hulk right? Yeah, see, like Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan. That's why they're still alive. It's because it's so in their blood and they love it.
Yeah,
is that they can do it. But certain wrestlers, they may love it, but they can't do it. Meaning, they can't go through the grueling lifestyle like that.
Ric Flair is in his 70s now, and he's still not scared to get in that damn ring.
Right, which is crazy every now and then.
I just saw him on AEW not too long ago when they were doing Sting's final match, and he was actually still fucking taking bumps.
Yeah, I thought he had his final match called the last match back a few years ago, but he can't get out of that fucking ring, I guess.
No, it wasn't for his last. It was Sting's last match.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't see that.
Yeah, he came back to like.
Did he wrestle or was he just there?
He was just there, but he did a thing where he was making you think that he was going to turn on Sting and help the Young Bucks, but then he started attacking the Young Bucks, and he wound up getting beat up by them a bit. And I was like, damn, 70 years old, still taking bumps in the ring.
It's crazy.
Like, holy shit, man.
But anyways, all in all, what do you think of this episode? Like, do you give it a thumbs up, thumbs down? Huh?
I definitely give it a thumbs up. Yeah. I mean, it was cool.
It was trippy, like we said, but man, he went through a lot. And like I said, that the two parts that really shocked me is him shooting at his dad, and him putting in those damn, whatever they're called, fake calves in his legs.
I'll tell you what was cool. Not only that, it was cool. It wasn't just a good story on Buff Bagwell, but also for doing that, also was responsible for saving the life and getting Scotty Riggs help.
Right, which is good. So
because if you watch YouTube, they did actually a spin-off of that showing the transformation of Scotty Riggs.
I haven't watched that yet, but I will definitely check it out.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. That was our review of Buff Bagwell's Dark Side of the Ring episode. And we're out of here. And
we'll on the next one,
yeah. We'll see you next time. Peace.